please hit that subscribe button. Hey everybody, better suited to win the Stanley Cup this season. If you are new to the channel, Washington Capitals, the Boston Bruins.
Locked on and he scored! And we're live. Hey everybody. So last night was a wild night in the NHL as we had teams in the midst of playoff races losing bad games that they shouldn't. Teams getting blown out at home. It was a crazy night in the NHL, and the NHL is very unpredictable. Usually, on a nightly basis, there's one or two games that really don't go the way that you thought they would. But last night, it seemed like 6 or 7 games were just absolutely out of control. Just what is going on here? I wasn't watching any of them. I was at my friend's house last night, but I had the NHL app open. I kept checking the scores, and there were so many games last night. I was just like, what? Is this really happening? So last night seemed like a pretty crazy night. There were 12 games. Before I start talking about individual games, I just want to quickly remind everyone to please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Both of those things really help the channel a lot and are very much appreciated. So let's get into it here. Starting with the Detroit Red Wings actually winning a game. I mean, what a way to start it. Detroit picks up their 13th win of the season. That's right, only 13 wins this season. In a shootout over, of course, the Buffalo Sabres. If it could get any worse for Buffalo, it probably would. Sabres fans have just got to be fed up at this point, losing to the Red Wings. Red Wings finally hit 30 points with the win last night. Yes, it's February, and the Red Wings only have 30 points. So that was crazy in itself. They actually won a game. Another game that was pretty nuts. Florida Panthers. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, Florida? You are in the midst of a tight playoff race in the East. You've got Toronto, Carolina, Philadelphia, Columbus, New York, all these teams right around you points-wise, trying to take your playoff spot away. Either, Toronto in the Atlantic or those other teams taking it away in the wild card spot. You're at home against Vegas, and you get blown out 7-2. Are you kidding me, Florida? How does that happen? How do you let that happen? 7-2 loss on home ice. Now, Vegas is a decent team, so it's not like you get blown out by Detroit or something like that, but you are on home ice, a very important game in the midst of a tight playoff race where everybody's within like 3 or 4 points of each other, and you get blown out at home. That is an embarrassing loss for the Florida Panthers. I mean, how does that happen? I could not believe that when I saw Vegas beat Florida 7-2 last night in Florida. Oh, that's embarrassing. Speaking of embarrassing losses, Philadelphia Flyers do pretty much the same thing, and this might be worse because it's against New Jersey, one of the worst teams in the league. Philadelphia is at home in the midst of a tight playoff race in the East, just like Florida. They're in the mix with those fighting for those wild card positions. And you not only get blown out by the Devils, you get shut out at home by the freaking New Jersey Devils, one of the bottom feeding teams this year in the NHL. Are you kidding me? Embarrassing for Philadelphia. Absolutely embarrassing. I don't know. That is one of the most unacceptable losses I have seen all season long in the NHL. Brutal for the Philadelphia Flyers. 5-0 at home to the frickin' Devils. Ugh. Absolutely unbelievable. On a better note, the New York Islanders had a very interesting game against the LA Kings last night. They were down 2-0 at the end of the first period to the Kings. I saw that score and I was just like, what? On top of everything else that was going on last night, I see the Islanders down at home to the Kings 2-0, and I'm just like, what is going on right now? What is happening? And fortunately for the Islanders and their fans, they did make the comeback. They were down 2-0, then they were down 3-1. They went into the third period down 3-2 before scoring 3 unanswered goals and ended up winning the game 5-3. So that's a huge comeback win for the New York Islanders. Huge 2 points for them, moves them back up into a divisional playoff spot in the Metro. And obviously, Philly took a really bad loss. Panthers took a really bad loss. Pittsburgh lost as well last night, although not a bad loss, a good game against the Tampa Bay Lightning. So, that was a big 2 points for the New York Islanders. But man, they had to do it. They had to come back to do it after being down 2-0 to one of the league's worst teams in the LA Kings. Early in that game. So that one was pretty shocking for a while as well. The Winnipeg Jets beat the St. Louis Blues 4-2. So St. Louis really hasn't been playing that great recently. They've struggled kind of over the last 10 games or so. And that's a huge win for Winnipeg, trying to pull themselves into a playoff spot. The Wild beat Vancouver. Vancouver, the top team in the Pacific Division. They lost 2 in a row now. Lost to the Wild last night, who are trying to somehow stay alive in the playoff race. Nashville beat the Flames in what was an outstanding game, 3-2. That gets Nashville within 1 point of a playoff spot in the Western Conference. But if you're the Calgary Flames, you are at home against a team close behind you in the standings, trying to take that wild card spot away from you, and you lose on home ice to the Predators. That's a tough loss for the Calgary Flames last night. Not something, not a loss that you want to take. And now the Flames, who not too long ago were second in the Pacific Division behind Vancouver, has now dropped to the bottom wild card team in the West, and they're only in it by a point. Winnipeg and Nashville is now 1 point behind them. And have games in hand, or at least I know Nashville has games in hand on everybody. So, not a good loss there for the Flames. The Coyotes lost at home to the Hurricanes. Again, the Hurricanes are a good team, but they had a lead in that game. I believe they had a 2-0 lead in that game, and they blew it. And they lost 5-3 at home to the Hurricanes as they continue to slip in the Western Conference. And the Edmonton Oilers lost to the San Jose Sharks again at home. What happened? What is going on? These games last night were wild how they ended up. Oilers lose at home to the Sharks, who have been terrible all year. Coyotes lose at home to the Hurricanes. Flames lose at home to the Predators. Blues lose at home to the Jets. I mean, it's really, last night was an unbelievable night in the NHL. It was just wild, everything that happened. And I think it was worth talking about. I mean, you had so much going on, teams in the midst of tight playoff races, losing at home, losing to opponents that they shouldn't be losing to. Some teams getting blown out at home, like the Flyers and Panthers. And Detroit happened to win a game. So last night was a crazy night in the NHL. I figured it was worth talking about. You don't see nights like that too often, but just goes to show how good how much parity there is in the NHL, how anyone can beat anyone, and you get a crazy night like this from time to time. But man, it was something else watching the scoreboards last night, just seeing all these different games and how they were going. So with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you guys soon.